A teenage boy unexpectedly gets pulled into a massive hit manga world, but of all things he knows absolutely nothing about the plot. He just wants to keep his head down and survive, but somehow, he catches the eye of the female lead. From that moment on, the sweet romance storyline goes completely off the rails. I stared at the face reflected in the bottle, absolutely freaking out because that wasn't my face. Back in my world, I died in a freak fire and my soul somehow woke up in the body of a high schooler who got hit by a car at the exact same time. But what I didn't see coming was that the original owner of this body was a massive, hardcore anime nerd. I mean, even this edgy hairstyle that covers half his face was straight up copied from some manga character. Eventually, rummaging through his room, I finally figured out what kind of world I was in. It was that mega viral manga, War for Love. And the reason it blew up so much? It was because in the end, the male lead, he didn't pick any of the main heroines. He actually ended up marrying his childhood best friend. The very first time I bumped into the male lead, Ryuji, was actually at my family's restaurant. After that, to make absolutely sure I wouldn't get tangled up with the main cast, I purposely used my top-tier grades to apply to a private school far, far away from my neighborhood. I even joined a student council, and used puberty as an excuse to work out like crazy. I wanted to completely reinvent myself. So, by the time my second year of high school rolled around, I had gotten ridiculously buff. For that entire past year, I was working out like an absolute maniac, packing on muscle for one simple reason: to protect myself. Because honestly, I was terrified that this manga world would throw some crazy plot twists at me like alien invasions, or the yakuza. I mean, come on, so many mangas pull stunts exactly like that. But, even though that first year was totally peaceful and boring, I really just wanted to keep living that quiet life. But fate had other plans. The moment the new school year started, I found out that Daizhen, the original female lead, was placed right in my class. And the cherry on top? The male lead, Ryuji, was in the same exact class. Honestly, this felt like an absolute disaster. I went out of my way to pick a school out in the middle of nowhere. If I get dragged into their drama now, my peaceful little life is totally doomed. But before I could panic any further, the teacher walked in. Alright everyone, welcome back. I have a quick announcement to make. Today, we have a brand new transfer student joining our class. He then glanced toward the girl waiting outside the door, and waved her in. But the second I laid eyes on her, I swear I wanted to drop dead right there. It was Rika, another main heroine from the manga. She stepped up to the podium and confidently introduced herself to the class. She even rambled on about how much she loved cats, sweets, and spicy bean soup. I really should have seen this coming. The male lead is in this class. Of course she'd show up here. You have to understand, in the original manga, she was the undisputed #1 in the popularity polls. And then, just my luck, the teacher pointed right to the empty desk between me and Ryuji. He told her to take that seat for now. Ryuji had been chilling this whole time, wearing his headphones and listening to music. But he must have sensed something. He looked up, and his eyes went wide in pure shock. The new transfer student was the exact same violent girl he'd run into that morning. And Rika was just as stunned to find out that her new deskmate was the so-called pervert from earlier. The teacher, completely clueless, just assumed it was some silly misunderstanding. He just chuckled and said, "Oh, it's great that you two already know each other." Right now, Rika and Ryuji were practically glaring daggers at each other. But I knew the truth. Rika's role in the story gets incredibly massive later on. Right now I just wanted to get as far away from them as physically possible. Maybe I should just transfer schools? Surely I wouldn't run into them again, right? Yeah, no. I quickly crushed that totally unrealistic thought. After class, a guy came over to borrow a manga from me. I mean, sure, I hadn't completely cut manga out of my life, seeing as this world was practically my future now. Honestly, even though I'd never actually read War for Love, the basic formula for these types of manga is always the same. As long as you stick to the classic rom-com tropes, pretty much everything becomes predictable. But of course, things never go exactly the way you want them to. Like ending up in the exact same class as the main couple. Clearly, I needed to start reading way more complex manga to prepare myself. Anyway, once class wrapped up, the male lead, Ryuji, grabbed Rika by the arm, saying they needed to talk privately. Something about the incident from that morning. The rest of the class watched the new transfer student follow Ryuji out the door, looking completely confused. Weren't those two at each other's throats just a minute ago? As for me, I just made up an excuse to go to the bathroom. And with my massive frame and ripped muscles, I gave off this massive, intimidating aura to the other students. They all just hurried out of my way. Since I almost always keep a cold, deadpan expression, there's a rumor going around that I'm some sort of assassin's heir, or an elite mobster. Sure, it's a total misunderstanding, but hey, at least no one is stupid enough to mess with me. Right now, I just wanted to know what they were talking about, so I could completely avoid them. Thinking about a secluded spot that's good for a private chat, there's really only one place. The academy's backyard. I slowly poked my head out from the bushes and watched the two of them Ryuji was frantically apologizing to Rika, swearing that whatever happened this morning was a total accident. Watching his desperate apology, I couldn't help but think yep, that's exactly what you'd expect from a rom-com protagonist. Seeing Ryuji look so ridiculous, Rika finally couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. She looked at him with a sweet smile. You really are adorably naive, aren't you? I'm not some fragile little girl, you know. Then why were you acting like that when you saw me? Because I just wanted to tease you a bit. Eavesdropping on this, I honestly felt totally speechless. No wonder she's the #1 heroine, famous for her bright and cheerful personality. Plus, they're already laughing and chatting so comfortably. With over a year of manga reading experience under my belt, I can safely say this is your textbook rom-com opening. Completely absorbed in my thoughts, I didn't even notice someone had quietly stepped up right behind me. Jin Yoo-sung, what exactly is the esteemed secretary of the student council doing squatting in the bushes? You're not doing something creepy like peeping on female students, are you? Her name was Meishi, born into a prestigious noble family in Kyoto, and the president of the student council. She was the classic villainess everyone talks about. She was a pretty tragic character, honestly destined to be mocked and humiliated in the original story. Even though she's a supporting character, she's still one of the heroines completely destined to cross paths with our male lead, Ryuji. She looked totally confused by the leafy green branch I was holding. I was planning to put this in the student council office. I thought it would look really nice in there. Meishi clearly didn't get it at all, but she respected my weird excuse and actually took the branch from me. She even said, since my secretary picked it out, I'll definitely put it on display in the office. I honestly had no idea what to say to that. I mean, it was literally just a dumb excuse I made up on the spot. And she seriously bought it. By the way, President Meishi, was there something you needed? Hearing this, Meishi suddenly let out a soft laugh. I'm inviting you to our group dinner. I figured the new freshmen might be terrified if they saw you there without me. Come on, let's go. If we're both late, there won't be any seats left in the cafeteria. You're actually going to the cafeteria? I feel like they wouldn't serve anything fit for someone of your high status, President Meishi. Hearing this, she stopped dead in her tracks. She turned her head, smiling playfully. You really don't know me at all, do you? While it's true I rarely go to the cafeteria, I actually have a very keen eye for good food. Your family's restaurant makes a really amazing cured pork rice bowl, for example. I believe that truly delicious food doesn't care if you're a commoner or a noble. But honestly, it felt like a subtle flex to mock me considering she lives off prime steaks and fine red wine every single day. Seeing that she was still dead set on going, I pointed out, well, the school cafeteria definitely doesn't serve cured pork and rice. Then what do they have? Maybe a beef rice bowl? She immediately looked completely torn. But what if it tastes awful? And what if it's super unhealthy? Watching her stress out over this, I just sighed to myself. Yep, she really is a sheltered rich girl at heart. That's definitely not changing anytime soon. Meishi, what are you doing out here? Your steak is getting cold, you know. I turned my head, and there she was, the student council vice president, Akaji. She was President Meixi's most insanely loyal follower. Clearly, she hadn't expected to find Meishi hanging out with me, of all people. You could practically see the crazy conspiracy theories spinning out of control in her head. Jin Yoo-sung. Oh, it's *U again. The guy who couldn't care less about the student council. Honestly, I had absolutely no idea what he was going on about. This is what happens when you never show up to the office. The president hasn't even eaten. She had to come out looking all pitiful just to find you. Pitiful just because she skipped one meal? Gotta admit, his sheer lack of logic was honestly impressive. But before I could even say a word in my defense, Meishi stepped right up to me. Stop making things up. I never said I was pitiful. You don't have to hide it, President. I know exactly how you feel. You don't know Jack. I've told you a million times it's not like that. I would gladly lay down my life for you, President Meishi. Meishi looked absolutely mortified. She quickly grabbed his arm and dragged him away. That idiot Akaji was still screaming threats at me as he was being dragged off. Meanwhile, I was just standing there, totally clueless about what just happened. It was all just so weird. Fast forward a bit, and I'm at the subway station after school. Standing out like a sore thumb in the crowd, I started thinking hard about how things were gonna play out from now on. Since the main hero and heroine both made their appearance today, it means the plot of this comic has officially kicked off. Thank God I worked out like crazy before. Aside from Sato, who was in my class last year. Literally everyone else avoids me like the plague, even Ryuji. Having a massive build really is the ultimate cheat code. As long as I keep my mouth shut and stay out of the way, I shouldn't get dragged into their messy drama. Just thinking about it took a huge weight off my shoulders. The main storyline encounters will just play out on their own. All I have to do is live out my quiet, peaceful life as a background character. But right at that moment, I felt a little tug on my sleeve. I turned around and saw the absolute last person I expected to see. Hi there, you're in my class, right? You're Jin Yoo-sung. I'm the new transfer student, Rika. My mind instantly went into full-blown panic mode. Why the hell was she here? And why was she talking to asterisk me? All I wanted was to stay as far away from the main cast as possible and live a normal life. But I never expected Rika, the main heroine herself, to walk right up to me. She wasn't intimidated by my scary vibe at all. In fact, she was actually trying to be friends with me. Just a few moments ago, Rika had casually walked right up to me in the middle of the subway station. Jin Yoo-sung, I'm so glad I ran into you. Do you happen to know how to get to this address? But the only thing I could think of was wait, how do you even know my name? Rika didn't say a word. She just smiled and pointed right at my chest. It's literally written right there. She laughed. I felt like an absolute idiot. My stupid name tag gave me away. I just froze, staring at her blankly. Seeing my dumbfounded expression, Rika burst into giggles. You really are a sweet guy, aren't you? But my brain was basically short-circuiting with questions. Why would she ever think I'm a sweet guy? Then how did you even recognize me? We haven't even spoken a single word to each other. Well, you sit right next to me in class. Plus, you've got this super intense, scary vibe around you. How could I not notice you? I heard a rumor that you took on over 50 bikers all by yourself. But now that we're actually talking for the first time, you're super nice. So yeah, you're definitely a good guy. I completely forgot that the main heroine, Rika, had such an insanely outgoing personality. I also totally forgot I was even wearing a name tag. Is she ranked number 1 in popularity just because she's this friendly to literally everyone? Should I just flex my muscles and try to scare her off right now? Jin Yoo-sung, the rest of the class might misunderstand you right now, but I know for a fact. They'll soon see what a big softie you really are. Until then, let me be your first real friend. I was completely backed into a corner here. Trying to intimidate her was clearly a total lost cause. But I gave it one last, creepy shot anyway. Oh, I am so looking forward to being your friend, Rika, but the only response I got was her bubbly, carefree laughter. Defeated, I finally glanced down at the address she was holding. She explained that she had just moved to the neighborhood. Subway lines were a total mess. Rika's address was in a wealthy neighborhood, completely packed with mansions. I had no idea what kind of crazy rich girl background she had, but this place actually wasn't too far from my house. We can just go together, she said. See? I knew I was right to come to you. Then, it suddenly clicked for her. Wait, do you live near me? Chateau's Bridge Station. That's only 2 stops away from your place. Are you serious? Oh my gosh, it must be destiny that we met. I felt like she was getting a bit carried away, but right then, a massive loophole suddenly hit me. The thing is, I had never even read the book, Fighting for Love. Sure, I practically have all the standard tropes memorized by now. But instead of just taking wild guesses, it would be way better to get the intel straight from Rika herself. That way, if things ever go south between her and the male lead, I could actually give her some decent advice. Feeling a lot better about the situation, I turned to Rika. Want something to drink? It's on me. Just a little treat between good friends. I'll have a Coke then. Rika grabbed the soda and immediately chugged down a massive gulp. Right after, she let out this loud, incredibly satisfied burp. I just stared at her and asked, do you really love Coke that much? Well, not exactly. I just haven't had it in a while because I've been watching my figure. She then pulled out her phone, swiping through her gallery to show me her old fashion photos. I used to model for fashion magazines back home, so staying in shape was an absolute must. I don't know, I muttered. These pictures look pretty different from the real you. Did you just wear a ton of makeup? Rika instantly flared up in anger. But before she could snap at me, the loud rumble of the approaching subway pulled our attention away. Rika glanced around at the crowd of people who were actively avoiding us. She seemed to finally notice that everyone was giving us a wide berth. As for me, I was already completely used to it. During the transfer, I told Rika to hurry up and stick close, making sure to get her safely onto the train heading to her neighborhood. Rika waved enthusiastically, yelling, "See you tomorrow." I just stood there on the platform, watching the train speed away. I knew right then and there I was definitely going to be hopelessly tangled up in the main character's messy drama. The very next day during lunch hour, I grabbed my bento box and headed over to the little pavilion right next to the parking lot to eat. Just as I was about to pop a piece of sushi into my mouth, a sudden voice grabbed my attention. It was Rika. Seeing me sitting out there eating all by myself, tears literally welled up in her eyes. She said that even if eating in the classroom made the other students uncomfortable, I still shouldn't be eating right next to the trash dump. I tried to tell her I was completely used to it, but Rika couldn't help but feel totally heartbroken for me. But then, her eyes landed on my lunchbox. The moment she saw the kimbap, her eyes lit up like fireworks. "Oh my gosh, I've never actually had that before," she gasped. "I've only ever seen it on TV." I really didn't expect her tears to dry up that fast. Her eyes were absolutely glued to my lunch. "Yoo-sung Kim," she started, "if you really don't mind, let's eat lunch together." I immediately tried to shut it down, warning her that there's no way I can bring kimbap every single day. She pouted. "Do you seriously think I'm just doing this for the kimbap?" Right then, it hit me exactly why Rika was the most popular girl around. It had only been 2 short days, and we were already acting incredibly close. She was just so much brighter and more outgoing than I had ever imagined. I heard your family runs a barbecue place. She beamed. Wow, this is totally authentic. I was just speechless. I mean, isn't this literally just the most basic, ordinary kimbap ever? Right after that, she insisted I try a piece from her own lunchbox. I didn't have much of a choice, so I just did as I was told. But the exact second it hit my tongue I felt like my brain was going to explode. They say that half of life is made of sweetness, but man, this food was sickeningly sweet. Was this just a tiny bit of food hidden in a mountain of sugar? But Rika just brushed it off, swearing it was the perfect amount. She said it tasted absolutely perfect to her, but coming from a family of chefs I honestly just couldn't stomach it. Eating nothing but sweets is going to ruin your health. Next time, I'll teach you how to make zero sugar Korean egg rolls. Then what goes in the egg rolls? Salt? I'll make them sweet and salty for you. Li Xiang, however, pointed out that everyone has their own little quirks. Just then, two people in the distance caught my attention. At that moment, President Meishi glared at the two of us, trembling with rage. I can't believe there's improper fraternizing between boys and girls on campus. As the student council president, I will absolutely not tolerate this. I immediately looked at her in confusion. What do you mean, improper? A guy and a girl eating alone in such a secluded place. If that's not improper, what is? Well, if you're going to put it that way, haven't we also been meeting in weird places lately? We're members of the student council. We meet all the time. Isn't that completely normal? Meishi said, looking at Li Xiang, who was staring right back at her. Do you have anything else to say? At that, Li Xiang happily pointed her finger. I remember now. You're the Dark Student Council president. Meishi never expected Li Xiang to blurt that out. Is that what the students secretly call me? It's mostly because you always wear a black uniform, that's why they call you that. I do it to show the authority of the student council. How dare you be so rude to me? Honestly, everyone just jokes that you're cosplaying. Meishi had no idea her reputation had become like this. She then pointed a finger at Li Xiang. You just wait. I'll be back. Li Xiang and I watched as they walked away. I couldn't help but feel like I did something wrong, even though I didn't know what it was. After school, I was sitting at my desk, thinking about what I should do next, when a voice snapped me out of my thoughts. Jin Yu-chung, why aren't you heading home? Is that a club brochure? You're already a sophomore, and you still haven't joined a club? I explained that I didn't have time because I was so busy with the student council. Hearing this, Li Xiang immediately got excited. Then you should come with me to the club tryouts tomorrow. We can go check out every club. It's way better than just sitting here overthinking it. I thought about it, and she made a good point. I stood up. Why don't we just go right now? Let's check out all the sports clubs first, one by one. Li Xiang looked confused and asked why. I just let out a dark, mischievous chuckle. Because I'm really curious to see just how strong I am. Meanwhile, over at the soccer field, the blonde guy was fuming, complaining about how he couldn't score a single goal. Even though they hadn't scored at all, they were still acting incredibly cocky. Just then, a massive shadow loomed over them. Could you guys move aside, please? This was none other than the third-year soccer captain, Lin Lingping. Seeing that they were dealing with someone tough, the two quickly apologized and said they were leaving. Thanks, Captain. Those guys were annoying the hell out of us. But the second you showed up, they scrambled away. But Lingping just let out a heavy sigh. None of the freshmen this year were particularly outstanding, and he desperately wanted to win the national championship. If only we could recruit some strong backup. Meanwhile, the blonde guy who had been scared off was absolutely furious. Should I go back right now and beat the crap out of him? Count me out, man. I heard his kick speed is literally famous nationwide. You think you can take him? Fighting isn't just about brute strength, you know. The blonde guy immediately started plotting a way to get his revenge. But suddenly, he backed right into someone. Which punk just bumped into me? Watch where you're going, idiot. Hearing those words, I immediately stopped in my tracks. I turned my head and glared at him. Say that again, if you dare. The moment he realized who he was talking to, cold sweat instantly poured down his face. Without a single second of hesitation, he turned and ran for his life. Rika sighed, scolding me helplessly. Don't be so loud. You need to play nice with others. After that, Rika and I headed over to the soccer field. The team stared, wondering what the hell I was doing there. Is he here to get back at those two guys from earlier? After all, everyone in school knew how terrifying I could be. But the captain told his team to chill out. He wouldn't waste his time getting revenge for trash like that. With a build like that, he's already at the level of a national pro. He then walked right up to me. Jin Yu-chung, I've heard a lot about you. I'm Lingping, captain of the soccer club. What brings you to our neck of the woods? I told him straight up that I was here for the tryouts. The sheer aura of intimidation made Lingping freeze, even though there was only a 10-centimeter difference in our height. He felt like an absolute dwarf. And looking at my insane muscle mass, his physique could literally crush anything. Lingping thought. He realized that if I joined the team, winning nationals wouldn't just be a pipe dream anymore. He immediately took me over to the goalpost. He told me to just give it my all and shoot the ball. My all, huh? Alright then, I won't hold back. I planted my foot, built up my momentum, and swung my leg high into the air. To everyone watching, the raw power radiating off me must have been absolutely terrifying. I unleashed everything I had on that ball. The friction against the air was so intense. It literally produced a sonic boom. The entire soccer team stared in pure horror. The soccer ball sitting in front of me was completely obliterated. That definitely wasn't a kick any normal human could pull off. I casually turned to Rika. So, where to next? Next up is the basketball club. Rika cheered. Crushing them like this is so much fun. By now, rumors that I was going around absolutely demolishing every sports club had spread like wildfire across the campus. Jinyucheng, so you finally stopped holding back and made your move. How could a beast like you endure the boredom of being unrivaled anyway? Meanwhile, I was busy shattering a glass backboard with a single slam dunk. The crowd below gasped in pure disbelief. Right after that, I took a massive swing at a baseball. And literally smashed a crater into the ground. Rika was busy crossing off clubs in her notebook. Soccer, ping pong, track and field, volleyball, baseball, judo, kendo, swimming, tennis. This is just too perfect. I asked Rika how many sports clubs were even left. She gave me a wicked little smirk. Ooh, so you're curious about that, huh? She slowly took off her glasses. Allow me to enlighten you, she announced dramatically. I just stared at her, totally speechless. Was the dramatic act really necessary? Well, excluding ping pong, judo, and volleyball. Since they don't have tryouts today, there are only 3 clubs left. First, track and field. Then there's the swimming club, and lastly, the kendo club. Basically, those are the last 3 sports clubs you can sign up for. I really appreciated Rika helping out, but honestly, she didn't have to go through all this trouble. Hey, Rika, I asked. Besides your modeling gigs, did you start taking acting classes too? She completely froze. Why would you ask that all of a sudden? Well, I actually think you've got a real knack for it. You know what, never mind. Just pretend I didn't say anything. It was a little embarrassing to bring up. The truth was, Rika actually had done some acting work before. A sudden, horrifying thought crossed my mind. Wait, it's not that kind of acting, right? I mean, what else could make her so flustered to talk about it? Nah, she's the female lead. There's no way she'd have a sketchy backstory like that. She grabbed my arm tightly. Let's drop the subject, she said. Don't we still have a club to visit? Seeing him look so panicked, I couldn't be bothered to press the issue. I decided to head to the kendo club first. Meanwhile, at the entrance to the kendo club, I showed up looking completely menacing. The crowd heard the commotion and rushed over to watch the drama unfold. I heard he crushed every single club out there. Is he trying to swallow up the kendo club now too? Rika instantly slipped into manager mode. If you have any business, you can talk to me. Just then, the doors slowly creaked open. A voice rang out from inside. You finally made it this far. You third-rate punk going around trashing places under the guise of club tryouts. The next moment, Yukika Kazama spoke up. The rampage ends right here. I'm going to stop you. Everyone started cheering her on. I'm only here because I'm genuinely interested in the kendo club, I said. Just tell me how to sign up for the tryouts. Yukika clearly thought I was acting way too arrogant. She declared a 1-point match. The first person to land a clean hit wins. I will be your opponent. Step into the arena. The crowd went absolutely wild. The human weapon versus the kendo club president. This was going to be epic. Some people even whipped out their phones and started recording. Rika let out a chuckle from behind me. Looks like they've pegged you as the ultimate villain. Yukika suddenly roared. All of you, shut your mouths. Shock washed over everyone's faces. This is a one-on-one duel between me and Yoo-sung Kim. No one else is allowed to interfere. If anyone dares to step in, then I'll gladly destroy them before I even deal with Yoo-sung. The crowd was terrified into dead silence. Who knew the captain's aura could be this intensely intimidating? Rika was right. This kind of pressure was no joke at all. This woman was seriously dangerous. So, I told Rika to wait outside the doors for a bit. I'll be right back, I told her. As soon as I walked in, I immediately noticed a ton of weapons and gear. Yukika warned me to put on some protective armor. I'll pass, I replied. I feel perfectly fine fighting just as I am. We can get started now. Don't blame me, she warned. If you end up getting badly hurt. But she was cut off right in the middle of her sentence. There's zero chance of me getting hurt. You've got quite the sense of humor, she shot back. You probably won't even be able to touch a single hair on my head. Are you ready? Yoo-sung Kim. The very next second, the battle erupted. I casually deflected her attack with my sword. No matter how incredibly fast her strikes were, I managed to block every single one of them. But honestly, this was just a little test. The real duel hadn't even started yet. She totally underestimated me, thinking I was just some ordinary guy. Soon enough, I intentionally left my guard wide open. Naturally, Yukika wasn't going to miss that chance. He struck me hard on the wrist, sending my sword flying straight out of my hand. I froze for a split second. You absolute idiot, she cursed at me. I can't believe you fell for such a basic feint. And this next strike will be your last. But what Yukika absolutely never saw coming was the sudden smirk on my face. It was a chilling, utterly terrifying smile. A wave of sheer panic washed over Yukika. Wait, is this a trap? The very instant she tried to jump back, the sword that had just gone flying through the air was suddenly right back in my grip. You're a total psycho, Yukika screamed. Maybe just a literal psychopath. Was he actually planning to bait me this entire time? Gripping the bamboo sword to counterattack again if she had been even 1 second later, I would have been the one totally finished off. Xianxia thought to herself. She realized I was way too dangerous. She had seriously underestimated me just now. If this dragged on any longer, she'd be the one in danger. So, she made a decision. She would end the fight with her very next strike. Immediately after, she got into her stance. Unleashing her full aura, this was her clan's ultimate technique. Evil slaying slash. Jin Yu-chung. It's over, but I didn't feel any pressure at all. Shui Zhang's sword struck me right in the chest. Jin Yu-chung. How does that feel? This is the secret ultimate technique of the Fuma clan. Even in training, no one has ever survived this strike. Shui Xiang thought she had won. But the very next second she froze. Right after that, I landed a direct hit right on her chin. She never expected things to turn out like this. Was that a hidden weapon? Why didn't I notice it? Shui Xiang gripped her sword as tight as she could, staring at my body. Is this guy's defense seriously off the charts? What a freakish muscle monster. Fast forward to the next morning. The news that I defeated the Kendo Club president had already spread everywhere. Some people even started guessing that I did it just to take control of the entire school. I was completely speechless. I just wanted a friendly spar. Is this really the romantic comedy plotline that I remember? But luckily Ryuji was acting the same as always. He was totally unbothered by all the rumors. He is the main character, after all. The story shouldn't drift too far from the main plot, right? Just then, Rika walked over to say hi to me. But the very next second, the classroom door was violently pushed open. A red-haired girl burst into the room. Damn you, Ryuji, get your butt out here right now. Everyone in the room was dying to know what was going on. Wait, isn't that Tojo Karen from the Kendo Club? Ryuji stood up and stepped forward. I'm Ryuji, what do you want with me? I heard you bullied the first years in our club. I went to the hospital to visit them yesterday. And they told me everything. Ryuji felt like there had to be some kind of misunderstanding. Daizhen stepped up to explain. Hey, this might genuinely be a misunderstanding. But she just got yelled at instead. Who the hell do you think you are? Now Daizhen was pissed off too. You're from the Kendo Club, aren't you? Your first years are the ones totally in the wrong. Yesterday, a few guys from your club came up to me and tried to forcefully drag me into an alleyway. Even though I kept telling them no. I was so incredibly scared I didn't know what to do. It was Ryuji who saved me. So now you know the truth. Do you still think Ryuji did something wrong? Since you finally understand the situation, then hurry back and actually discipline your club members. This whole mess wasn't Ryuji's fault at all. It was your Kendo Club first years. Tojo Karen finally seemed to get the picture. Suddenly, she screamed at the top of her lungs, Ryuji, be my man. She boldly declared that she would make Ryuji the happiest man in the world. Daizhen was absolutely stunned, her mind completely short-circuiting. Is that seriously something a girl should be saying out loud? Naturally, Daizhen was completely against this. My interest was instantly piqued. Launching a surprise confession attack at a time like this? The world of romantic comedies is seriously terrifying. I better grab some popcorn and watch this drama unfold. And I wasn't the only one enjoying the drama. Rika was totally eating it up, too. Is this that legendary love at first sight? Man, this girl is just way too cool. Everything is totally off script. These two were supposed to be love rivals in the original story. But they actually ended up as good friends. And Rika? She instantly turned into some kind of love guru. She's gearing up to teach Karen Tiju the ultimate secrets to winning a guy's heart. Meanwhile, the classroom is buzzing with excitement. Everyone is taking bets on who Ryuji will actually choose. Some think the hot girl is a better match. Looks like what just happened has got everyone talking. After Karen dropped that massive bombshell, I'm pretty sure the news is gonna spread all over the school. That's when Rika turned to me and asked, so, who do you think Ryuji will end up with? Honestly, I'm not really sure myself. If we're going by the original plot, he should end up with his childhood friend. But right then, Rika chimed in and said, she already knows who he's going on a date with. And her answer? Karen Tiju. But there's a catch. Rika has to be her personal dating coach. Rika seems super confident in her counseling skills. She actually called herself an expert, claiming she's been in countless relationships. I really don't get why she's so hyped up about all this. Is she really that desperate for someone to ask her for relationship advice? Anyway, time flew by, and soon it was afternoon. When I pushed the door open, I noticed a figure sitting right there in front. And that person was none other than Karen Tiju. I just couldn't figure out why she was sitting in our classroom. According to a friend, she's apparently been pestering Ryuji to hang out with her this weekend. But wait, if they're going out on the weekend, wouldn't that basically be a date? But what my friend said next totally caught me off guard. Rumor has it, she's the daughter of some big shot. Like, her dad is supposedly a mob boss, or involved with the yakuza. And it seems Karen has inherited her father's tough side. Her family literally controls a massive underground syndicate covering the entire Kanto region. Honestly, that news totally blew my mind. But whatever, I don't really care. Even if she comes from some crazy background. Karen hasn't actually done anything bad. But, I quickly realized something was definitely off. Now that I think about it, I'm literally living inside a romantic comedy manga. So, crazy stuff like this is bound to happen all the time, right? Just then, Karen yelled out at the top of her lungs. Ryuji, you still haven't said yes to my weekend invitation. I really need to make it up to you. Please, won't you just hang out with me? Daizhen snapped at her to stop pestering him, saying her behavior was making Ryuji super uncomfortable. Karen got super defensive and shot back, and what does that have to do with you? The whole class was watching with pure envy. Man, I wish I had two gorgeous girls fighting over me like that. But then, the most hilarious thing happened. Karen kept trying to ask him out right in the middle of class, and she even ambushed him on his way to the bathroom to ask again. Poor Ryuji was completely losing his mind. He just wanted her to give it a rest. Later during lunch, Rika asked me what I was up to this weekend. I didn't really have any plans, though. I was just thinking about helping out at the diner. Then Rika asked if I wanted to come over to her place. She said she's got tons of manga there. Like, an unlimited supply. She even promised it would totally blow my mind. Since her dad is a hardcore collector, her house is basically a full-blown manga cafe. So, I promised I'd definitely hit her up when I'm free. But suddenly, I realized something. How on earth does Rika eat so much junk, yet still stay so incredibly skinny? Rika told me not to worry, saying she wouldn't gain a single pound no matter what she eats. She's one of those people who just naturally never put on weight, which totally took me by surprise. Do people like that really exist in this world? Just then, Karen Tiju suddenly walked right up to us. Rika was a bit taken aback. She had no idea why Karen sat right next to her, but actually, the timing was perfect. She finally got the chance to play matchmaker and give out some dating advice. So, she eagerly struck up a conversation. After a quick introduction, Rika sensed that Karen seemed to have a lot on her mind lately. So, Rika wanted to help her out. The moment she heard Rika's name, Karen was shocked, too. She had actually heard rumors that Rika was some sort of a love guru. Rika totally pretended not to hear that, making Karen repeat herself. So, Karen practically shouted, I heard you're an expert at giving relationship advice. I've heard all about you. Wow, I guess everything Rika told me was actually true. She really is an expert. Meanwhile, Karen was so confused, wondering how anyone could possibly figure out her secret crush. Come on, you come to our class looking for Ryuji during every single break. We'd have to be blind not to notice. Karen frantically covered Rika's mouth. Everyone's gonna hear you. Keep it down. Karen then admitted she really wanted to hear Rika's advice, especially when it came to her love life. When I finally got back, I realized Rika was having way too much fun with all this. Today, she made a deal with Karen that we'd all sit down and have a proper talk after school tomorrow. And yes, that included me too. But wait, in the original storyline, these two were supposed to be love rivals fighting over Ryuji. It's so weird that she's stepping up to help her like this. It just doesn't make any sense. Oh well, I'm too lazy to overthink it. I'd better just focus on my workout. But the moment I walked into the gym, I noticed the place was absolutely packed. Was there some kind of special event going on today or something? Literally everyone showed up. Right at that moment, I heard someone calling my name from behind. I turned around and whoa, it was Yukika. She's actually the eldest daughter of a major yakuza family. Yet here she was, trying so hard to fall in love that she'd actually started learning how to do her makeup and dress up nicely. And honestly, all of this was completely thanks to Rika's influence. Just a second ago, I realized Yukika Kazama had just sneaked up right behind me. And man, her expression was totally different from how she usually looked. Seeing Yukika here, I finally understood why. No wonder all the guys in the gym were working out so aggressively. Meanwhile, Yukika looked pretty lost, having no idea where to even start. I found out a bit later that the only reason we bumped into each other here was because she had recently moved into the neighborhood. Just as I was trying to process all this, a loud voice boomed from behind me. Yuhiro Nakayama yelled out, "This is absolutely perfect." He wanted me to show Yukika the ropes and help her get familiar with the gym. But knowing this crazy old man, he probably thought Yukika only came here because she had a crush on me. Yeah, this old dude had definitely gotten the wrong idea. Well, then it was my time to shine. The old man told me to start with a 220 kilogram warm-up set. Yukika just stared at us, completely stunned. Wait, you're starting off with that much weight? The old man laughed and told her not to worry. He bragged that he had been a pro bodybuilder for 20 years. He had never, ever seen a total freak of nature like me. Without a second thought, I grabbed the barbell tight. I bent my knees slightly and under the boss's amazed gaze, I immediately started repping out deep squats. Yukika just stood there, her jaw practically dropping to the floor. Then the old man grinned and said 220 kilos was way too light for me and slapped on enough plates to make it 270. But honestly, even 270 kilos felt like an absolute breeze to me. The old man just winked at Yukika. See? I told you the kid was a monster. You really don't need to worry about him. Yukika had to admit there was absolutely no way that was the body of a second-year high school student. He was an absolute monster. And that was the anomaly she had only ever heard rumors about. The ultimate yang physique. About that, Yukika was absolutely certain of it. It was the absolute peak of pure, masculine energy. A natural-born body with the strength of 100 men. In all the old legends, all the great heroes had bodies exactly like his. Yukika was completely convinced, because he had actually fought against me before. And let me tell you, you don't get that kind of power just by hitting the gym. Yukika felt like she needed to report this to that person, and fast. Before we knew it, it was already the next day. We pulled up to Karen Taju's place. Everyone there bowed with total respect. Welcome home, my lady. Wow, looks like her family really is the yakuza. How is Rika not surprised by this at all? Is this just a totally normal thing in this world? As someone who just got dropped into this universe, I don't think I'll ever get used to this. But honestly, the intimidating vibe I was giving off seemed to freak even the yakuza out. One of the guys immediately blocked my path. You bastard, are you some kind of spy sent from a rival gang? That completely freaked Karen out. What on earth are you talking about? He's my classmate. But those guys weren't buying it for a second. Just look at that terrifying aura radiating off of him. And come on, there is no way that face belongs to a high schooler. My lady, get over here, right now. Stay away from that guy. But I literally haven't even done anything. Seriously? Just because I look a little mature for my age, I have to deal with this kind of treatment? Once we got inside, Karen just kept apologizing to me over and over again. I told her it was totally fine. Honestly, I'm kind of used to it by now. Thanks for inviting me over and all, but I really don't think I'll be much help with relationship advice. But Rika insisted I'd be super useful, and just told me to wait on the sidelines for now. Then she dove right into teaching Karen. Rule number 1 of romance: you've gotta learn how to cook. Just leave it to your romance expert, Rika. Does this girl feel absolutely zero shame calling herself that? After that, the three of us got ready to start cooking. And we literally cooked from noon all the way until the evening. Karen finally managed to finish a single bento box. It was her very first time making one from scratch. It actually turned out pretty okay. Well, except for the part earlier where Karen accidentally cranked the stove up way too high, and literally burned all her ingredients to crisp ashes. I mean, even for a total beginner, this cooking journey is turning out to be way too brutal for her. Just smelling all the food we made was starting to make Rika's stomach rumble. So I threw out an idea. Hey, do you guys want me to whip up a quick dinner? I told Rika to leave the cooking to me. You just focus on teaching Karen how to get a boyfriend. The very next second, I got right to work on my signature dish, egg fried rice. The way I was flipping the wok back and forth completely blew the two of them away. In exactly 1 minute flat, I had whipped up a flawless, golden egg fried rice. They both took a quick bite, and wow, the taste was absolutely incredible. Both Karen and Rika looked completely shocked. Wait, you actually know how to cook? And it actually tastes this good? I explained to them that back in my freshman year's second semester, I started making my own bento boxes. During my first semester, my mom would always wake up super early just to make me lunch. But every time I saw how exhausted she looked, I just felt so horribly guilty. At first, I was super clumsy in the kitchen, and cooking was a massive struggle. But hey, I finally got the hang of it. That amazing smell is seriously making Rika drool. Making a bento for herself, and helping out her hardworking mom, it's just so touching. Now that I think about it, there's actually something Rika almost completely forgot. A special gift she prepared right before coming over. Yesterday, Rika went out of her way to buy some makeup essentials. She even wrote down all the skincare steps on little sticky notes. Next time you need to restock, just follow this list. And once you get the hang of doing your makeup, and actually score a date, we're definitely going shopping for clothes together. To be fair, Rika had only ever seen Taju at school. Her casual style was well, a bit different. She dressed a bit like an old grandpa. Ouch, that comment really stung Taju. Who knew Rika could be so brutally honest? Right after that, she got ready to give Taju a full makeover. She told me to just wait out here and warned me not to peek. She threatened to drag me in if I did. Right after that, she shoved Rika straight into the room. I honestly have no idea why I'm even here. This is seriously cutting into my training time. After a long, busy day, we were finally getting ready to head out. Rika was really hoping Taju's date would be a success. Just then, I happened to pass by a convenience store, and I wanted to pop in to grab a manga magazine. Rika got all excited and decided she wanted to buy something too. The one I picked up this time was Rui-chan. It turns out, Rika really loves that manga too. She said her dad always told her, people who love manga can't possibly be bad people. But if I remember correctly, Rika literally buys it every single week too. So, she proudly declared that she must be a good person too. I just nodded. You're definitely not wrong about that. You are absolutely a good person. You put your whole heart into helping Teju all day long. And the way I see it, anyone who can do that much for someone else is a genuinely good person. But my words just made Rika turn completely red. You idiot, why would you say something so embarrassing? And with that, she just paid and stormed out. She was probably just way too shy. But honestly, I didn't think so. I figured she probably just really needed to go take a dump. Like, maybe she just couldn't hold it in anymore. Anyway, fast forward to the next day. Everyone was completely blown away by Teju's new look. There she was, rocking these cute little braids. She was even wearing a skirt. Honestly, if you didn't look closely, you probably wouldn't even recognize her. The transformation was just insane. Right at that moment, Teju pulled out a letter. It was a formal challenge. Ryuji, this weekend, you're coming somewhere with me. But Ryuji just stood there, totally stunned. He literally had no idea who she was. He didn't even realize the girl standing right in front of him was Teju. The makeover was a total success. As her official love guru, Rika took Teju, Karen, and completely transformed her into a whole new style. Just a bit earlier, Rika had dragged Karen Teju straight to a women's boutique. I, on the other hand, felt so incredibly awkward. It felt like I'd stepped into a totally different world. Karen asked us to help her pick out an outfit for her date. I was super confused and asked, wait, do I have to come too? But before I could even get a proper answer, Rika had already dragged Karen and me right into the boutique. Every time she saw something cute, she'd pull Karen over to try it on. I just watched in pure shock as she grabbed outfit after outfit. Once Karen literally couldn't hold any more clothes, Rika just shoved her straight into the fitting room. A second later, a voice called out from inside. This super cute style, it just doesn't suit me at all. But Rika just let out a cheeky little laugh, and barged right into the fitting room after her. Don't move, just let me handle this. Right after that, a series of totally not safe for work noises echoed from the dressing room. By the time she finally came back out, Tojo Karen had completely transformed her entire vibe. Rika was still admiring her own masterpiece, even though Karen felt the skirt was a bit too short. The moment I told her she looked great, her cheeks instantly turned bright red, and she didn't argue anymore. I honestly didn't expect such a massive glow up. You know what they say, clothes really do make the person. I am seriously not kidding. Meanwhile, at that exact moment, inside a room at the Tojo clan headquarters, which also doubled as Karen's home, a group of guys stood around a man sitting in a chair, absolutely terrified to make a single sound. He was none other than the 6th chairman of the Tojo clan, Tojo Naoto, also known as the Bloodbath Madman. So it seems Karen has finally found a boy she likes. His men were completely shocked, wondering who on earth could have caught the young Mrs. I am not handing my daughter over to just anyone. Morito, what did you say that punk's name was again? Boss. His name is Sakamoto Ryuji. He goes to the exact same high school as the young miss. Yesterday, the young miss said she wanted to go to a hair salon, so I personally escorted her there. But today, her credit card statement showed a bunch of transactions from a clothing boutique at the department store. Because of this, I am absolutely certain she is planning a date with him. Hearing this, Tojo Naoto's eyebrows instantly furrowed into a deep scowl. He immediately snatched up a katana right next to him. How dare that little brat? His men frantically held the chairman back. After calming down just a fraction, Naoto snapped. This weekend, if you boys have some free time, you're coming with me. Our mission is to secretly monitor their date. We need to make absolutely sure that punk doesn't try anything funny. Yes, boss. Everyone allowed inside this room was a high-ranking executive of the Tojo clan. So they agreed without a single moment of hesitation. Meanwhile, we were just staring at the burgers and sodas on our table, having completely lost our appetites. And Rika didn't even have the energy to chew anymore. Rika, thank you so much for today. Oh, don't mention it. That's what friends are for. Besides, thanks to you being here today, I had an absolute blast shopping. Seeing me eating only a single burger, Karen looked confused and asked, is one burger really enough for a guy your size? You can eat as much as you want, you know. After all, you've helped me out so much today. Treating you to some food is the least I can do. No, I'm good. I actually ate a really huge lunch earlier. I always used to think she was just a delinquent problem child, but I never expected her to get this close to us. Seeing me constantly staring at her, she suddenly got super embarrassed. Anyway, getting back on track, have you got your date route all planned out for tomorrow? Karen thought about it carefully. Well, we'll hit up a cafe, then go catch a movie, and grab some dinner. Isn't that how these things usually go? Hearing such a painfully basic plan, Rika instantly got fired up. Do not just do what everybody else does. Skip the movie and go here instead. She shoved her phone screen forward, showing off an aquarium. It gives you that magical feeling of being right in the middle of the ocean. Schools of fish dancing peacefully around coral reefs. How beautiful is that? But the most important part is the perfectly dim, romantic lighting. Trust me, with a vibe like that, you two are guaranteed to fall head over heels for each other. You absolutely have to trust the advice of Rika, the ultimate love expert. I looked at the two of them, completely speechless. The very next day, after Rika and I gave her our final pep talk, we watched her walk away into the distance. We firmly believed that her date today was going to be a total success. So, Lily-chan, what are your plans now? I suddenly had absolutely no idea when I ended up with that ridiculous nickname. After hesitating for a moment, I replied, I'll probably just stay home and read manga. Seeing that I was free, Rika immediately spoke up. Then let's go spy on her together. As her good friends, we have to see this through for the sake of her happiness. Seeing the burning fire of gossip in her eyes, I gave up trying to argue and just went along with it. And just like that, the dynamic duo of Rika and Kim Yoo-sung was officially born. Meanwhile, people on the streets stared at the massive crowd of men that had suddenly appeared. Everyone immediately scrambled out of the way. The man leading them was none other than Tojo Karen's father, bringing his men straight to his daughter's date spot. The date is happening. Our main couple's date had finally begun. To Ryuji, Tojo Karen looked incredibly gorgeous today. Realizing he was staring, he quickly apologized. Completely captivated by her, Ryuji blurted out, You look so beautiful today. The moment the words left his mouth, a bright red blush spread across her cheeks. How about we grab some tea first, and figure out our plans for the day? But when Ryuji tried to carry Karen's bag for her, the two of them ended up awkwardly refusing each other. Meanwhile, Rika and I, fully in disguise, hid around a distant corner, secretly watching them. Seeing the pair walk away, Rika quickly tailed them. I reacted a second too late, but hurried to catch up. I heard this cafe is super famous. Yeah, it actually looks really nice. But hiding in the shadows, also in disguise, Tojo Naoto was gnashing his teeth in sheer rage. My precious daughter asked him out and this punk actually dared to make her wait for 5 whole minutes? His men desperately held him back. Only after the boss had calmed down did one of them say, Boss, people around us are getting suspicious, but our disguises are absolutely flawless. There are just too many of us, it's too obvious. How about we split into pairs to tail them? Naoto thought it was a brilliant idea and immediately gave the orders. Once we got to the cafe, Rika ordered a massive strawberry parfait. She started snapping photos like crazy, completely forgetting why we were even there. But then, I noticed something. The guys sitting diagonally across from us looked like trouble. Even Rika noticed it. There were a lot of incredibly sketchy people around us, and I had a gut feeling they might be from the Tojo clan. Especially that guy with the red hair. He looked exactly like a mobster. The aquarium has dolphins. Let's go see the dolphins first. Sure, sounds like a plan. Today is going to be so much fun. Karen's bright smile hadn't faded for a single second. I felt like this was getting way out of hand. Honestly, I had a bad feeling about this date. Whenever the two of them had a sweet moment, half the people around them would glare daggers in their direction. Soon after, Ryuji and Karen got on the train. The crowd was so packed that Karen was forced right into Ryuji's arms. I also wrapped my arms around Rika, shielding her from the crushing crowd. Rika's face instantly flushed red. All around us, people in the train car were yelling to stop pushing. But it was no use. If you want to get to the aquarium, you have to take the subway. Who knew it would be this packed? Rika's heart skipped a beat, realizing just how closely she was pressed against Lily-chan. Seeing Rika's face turn completely red, I thought she was just getting crushed by the crowd. We're almost there, just hang in there a little longer. The second we reached our stop, the crowd swarmed out of the train. I immediately grabbed Rika's hand and said, Hold onto me tightly, otherwise, we're going to lose them in the crowd. Making it out of the station, we finally breathed a sigh of relief. But right at that moment, Rika lifted our intertwined hands and murmured, You can let go now. Oh, my bad. I quickly let go of Rika's hand. Rika kept her head down and murmured softly, Be a bit gentler next time. Her voice was so quiet I actually thought I misheard her. Next time, huh? I muttered, watching the two of them already cross the street. The light turned red, and Rika suddenly cried out. What do we do now? Let's just head straight to the aquarium. That's where they're heading anyway. But right at that moment, I heard the voices of those guys from the restaurant behind us. I told you we should have driven. How was I supposed to know it'd be this packed on a weekend morning? I shot a glance at the suspicious group. Those were definitely the exact same guys I saw back at the Tojo estate. I'd better lay low, it's game over if they recognize me. But Tojo Naoto still noticed me acting weird. Shut up, all of you. Doesn't that guy look awfully suspicious? Hearing their boss speak up, everyone turned to stare right at me as I crossed the street. Boss, that looks like Kim Yoo-sung, the young Mrs. Friend. And the girl next to him should be Miss Rika. They were just at the mansion a few days ago. That's when Tojo Naoto finally remembered him. With his huge, muscular build, I honestly thought he was a hitman sent by a rival family. Well, since that's the case, let's just tail them for now. By the looks of it, they probably followed along because they're worried about Karen too. A long while later, Ryuji and Tojo Karen finally made it to the aquarium, but they had absolutely no idea that someone was watching them from behind. Wait, was that Ryuji who just walked by? That bastard got us kicked out of the kendo club, and he still has the nerve to go out on a date? The more they thought about it, the angrier they got, until rage completely clouded their minds. Even though the girl was the young miss of a yakuza family, there were actually some blind idiots daring to provoke her time and time again. They didn't even take the main character of this manga world seriously. As it turned out, just a moment ago, after seeing how well Ryuji and Tojo Karen were hitting it off, Rika and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. We then headed over to a wide, open lawn, and laid down a picnic blanket to enjoy our lunch. For today, I prepared Rika's absolute favorites, kimbap and inari sushi. Looking at the massive spread of food before her, Rika practically started drooling. She had already completely forgotten that we were actually here to spy on Tojo Karen's date. Meanwhile, not too far from us, Tojo Karen was trembling as she carefully opened the bento she had prepared. Her heart was pounding like crazy. After all, it was her very first time cooking a meal for the guy she liked. Just to get this bento right, she pestered me to no end, practicing day and night for 3 whole days straight. The box revealed a beautiful assortment of food. Just looking at the vibrant colors, you could tell it was absolutely delicious. Ryuji's appetite was instantly triggered. He grabbed a rice ball and stuffed it right into his mouth. Watching Ryuji slowly take a bite of the rice ball, Tojo felt her heart jump into her throat. She was terrified he might just spit it right out. But to her absolute delight, Ryuji was clearly loving every single bite. Wow, this is amazing. That simple compliment instantly brought a radiant smile to Tojo Karen's face. She quickly picked up another piece and fed it right to him. Seeing her incredibly eager and hopeful expression, Ryuji just didn't have the heart to refuse. Tojo Karen kept her eyes locked on him, anxiously waiting for his verdict. When Ryuji finally gave her a big thumbs up, she finally let out a massive sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Rika and I sat not too far away, watching them over our own meal. At this point, the sickeningly sweet scent of romance was practically suffocating the entire park. And now, Ryuji was the one stuffing Tojo Karen's mouth full of food. But I still felt like something was off. When am I ever gonna get to go on a date like that? Rika's words completely knocked every other thought right out of my head. I thought you always called yourself a love expert? Haha, actually I've never even been in a relationship. I just learned it all from reading manga. No wonder Rika had so many tricks up her sleeve. I let out a helpless sigh. Looks like they're wrapping up over there. Let's pack up and follow them. But I've helped tons of friends with their relationship problems. Yeah, sure you have. Oh, you've helped, huh? Watching Rika get all flustered and mad actually made me feel incredibly satisfied. After we left the aquarium, Rika and I poked our heads out from behind a tree. We watched the two of them, looking so reluctant to part ways. I figured a confession was coming any second now. But right then, my gaze sharpened. 2 guys suddenly showed up right in front of Ryuji and Tojo Karen. The second they walked up, they smacked the lunchbox right out of Ryuji's hands. You two timing bastard, we finally cornered you, huh? Last time, you were walking around with that chick we were hitting on. And now you're out fooling around with a new girl. Rika immediately asked me if we should call the cops. Forget it, even if we called the cops, they wouldn't get here in time. If things go south, I'll step in. Ryuji immediately barked back at them. You guys have some serious nerve showing your faces around here again. Listening to them argue, I quickly figured out who these guys were. They were the freshmen who got kicked out of the kendo club. Back then, Ryuji saved Tojo and beat the crap out of both of them. We got kicked out strictly because we got into a fight with you. At this point, Tojo finally couldn't hold back anymore. You completely deserved to get kicked out. You guys are absolute idiots. That's when the 2 thugs finally realized that the gorgeous girl standing right in front of them was actually Tojo Karen with makeup on. Wait, the tomboy actually put on makeup today? Don't tell me you're actually out on a date with this 2 timing loser. You two don't match at all. You used to be out picking fights in the mud every single day. Hearing this, the 2 of them gritted their teeth in absolute fury. Shut your mouths, 2 guys just sneered. Did you honestly think we'd show up completely alone today? So, this is the little punk who messed with my boys, right? Our boss is a freaking legend in Kitayama. You are not getting away today. Seeing this, Ryuji knew right away that he couldn't handle this all by himself. He frantically told Tojo Karen to run for it, but the boss grabbed her in an absolute instant. Let her go. Our beef is between us, you don't need to drag her into this. But the only response Ryuji got was a brutally heavy punch. Watching from afar, I finally had enough. I told Rika to stay exactly where she was. I watched as Ryuji collapsed to his knees in pure agony. I'll be taking your little girlfriend with me now. But by that exact moment, I was already standing completely deadpan right behind him. I grabbed his wrist and violently twisted it. The sickening crunch of shattering bone echoed through the air. Then I casually tossed him right over my shoulder like I was throwing away a little chick. He didn't have even the slightest bit of power to fight back. Look, I rarely ever get truly angry. But this time, I was genuinely furious. You never should have laid your filthy hands on my friend. As the head of an elite yakuza family, he actually felt a shiver of pure terror just looking at this teenager. He had only ever felt that kind of terrifying, suffocating aura from the god of destruction himself. I don't know exactly how unbelievably strong I am, but I do know that I have never lost a single fight. Originally, watching his own daughter get bullied like that, Teju Naoto was absolutely boiling over with fatherly rage. He was literally just about to lead his men out there to beat that punk half to death. I just appeared right behind them, and the overwhelming aura I was giving off actually made Naoto Tojo, the chairman of the Tojo Syndicate, shake uncontrollably. In all these years, he had only felt this way once before, and that was from the boss of the Russian Red Mafia, Ivan, the god of destruction. He couldn't believe my aura was completely on par with his. During a chance encounter when I was alone with him, my instincts made my body tremble uncontrollably. It was an overwhelming fear, the primal shudder of facing an apex predator. And right now, I couldn't care less about messing up the original plot. All I wanted was to take out the trash standing right in front of me. Glancing at the people around me, I didn't want anyone to get caught in the crossfire, so I told Karen Tojo, Rika, and Ryuji to get out of here first. Karen Tojo tried to say something, but I cut her off immediately. I told her there was no way I'd lose to garbage like this. Hearing that, the blonde punk completely lost his mind. He swung straight at me, but I just stood my ground, without backing up a single inch. His punches felt like cotton, there was absolutely no power behind them. Seeing that I wasn't dodging at all, he immediately started laughing like he'd won. But after watching me take hit after hit, without a single scratch, cold sweat started pouring down his face. Can this guy not feel pain at all? He didn't even flinch. Then let's try this move. The blonde punk immediately dashed to my side. His fist actually seemed to glow with a faint red light. Rika gasped and covered her mouth, terrified for me. Finally, a tiny trickle of blood dripped from my nose. From this moment on, it was officially self-defense. I threw a punch straight into the blonde punk's face. Usually, the legal limit for self-defense is just one hit. But one hit was more than enough. Everyone around us could practically hear the sickening crunch of shattering bones and breaking teeth. Blonde punk went flying straight backward, only coming to a dead stop when he violently crashed into a tree. Any harder and it would count as excessive force. Man, how disappointing. The other two guys stared at me like I was some kind of demon god, shaking violently in pure terror. Do you have any idea who I am? My dad is a high-ranking cop. What a pathetic, cliché threat. Isn't that straight out of the minor villain playbook? I didn't even bother responding. I just grabbed them both by the throat and hoisted them into the air. Right as they were about to pass out, I slammed them brutally into the dirt. Grab your boss and get the hell out of here. And don't you ever show your faces in front of Karen Tojo again. Seeing that everything was finally handled, Rika immediately ran over to me. Oh my god, are you okay? Your face is bleeding. Ah, it's just a little blood. It'll be fine in a second. But Rika completely snapped at me. Stop joking around. We are going to the pharmacy, right now. Stunned, I just gave a blank nod and agreed. I had never seen Rika get that mad before. But as we were leaving, I noticed the vibe between the other two was extremely tense. Listening closely, I realized they were both actually blaming themselves for what just happened. And then, right in the middle of all that awkwardness, Karen Tojo actually confessed her feelings. Wait a second, shouldn't those two be thanking me? Shouldn't they be checking to see if I'm okay first? I just watched as Karen looked at him with deep affection and said, please, go out with me. It updated. The newest chapter finally updated. And just like that, Ryuji actually rejected Karen Tojo's confession. She definitely didn't expect that answer, especially since they'd had such an amazing time together all day. If you don't like me right now, that's okay, I can try harder. No, I'm the one who isn't good enough for you. To be completely honest, when I was little, I promised a girl I would marry her someday. So, I don't plan on dating anyone right now. Karen immediately hung her head. She never could have imagined it would end up like this. Do you love her? But Ryuji said he wasn't even sure himself. He only remembered that he used to really like her. So I guess she's his childhood first love. Since you've already made your choice, I'll give up on you for good. Karen forced a cheerful wave. But the second she turned around, the tears started welling up in her eyes. I just knew it would end up like this. Rika, you should head back first. Rika immediately asked what I was going to do, but without even looking back, I just said, see you at school next week. She just stared at my back, probably sensing that I was hiding something from her. And maybe that I was feeling a little down, too. A little later, I finally found Karen Tojo by the bus stop. Karen, are you holding up okay? But when she looked up, her face was just absolutely covered in tears. I quickly handed her some tissues, and sighed helplessly, saying, look at you, totally falling apart. Couldn't you try to be just a little bit stronger? Kim Yoo-sung, I have never cried in front of anyone before. You better not breathe a word of this to anyone. Of course I won't. We're friends, aren't we? Actually, I knew that you and Rika were tailing us this whole time. I completely froze. Are people's senses seriously this sharp in a rom-com manga world? Look, we didn't mean to pry, I know. I know you guys were just worried about me. That's why you kept an eye on me all day. I'm sorry. You guys went through all that trouble for me, and I still completely messed everything up. I really thought if I just changed myself, maybe Ryuji would finally have a place for me in his heart. But I was so wrong. My heart it hurts so much right now. And there is absolutely nothing I can do to fix it. Do you believe me? I really truly loved him. The second those words left her lips, a really strange feeling washed over me. Deep down, I'd always just thought of this as a manga world. Rika was the only one who had been slowly changing that mindset. Her sweet smile always managed to make my heart skip a beat. But I still kept a clear boundary drawn in my head, fully convinced that they were just fictional characters in a comic. But today I can genuinely feel their pain. Are they really just manga characters? I told her to stop crying. Karen didn't quite catch it and asked me what I said. I pointed right at her nose and snapped, "If you shed one more tear, I am calling the cops and reporting you for disturbing the peace." Karen blinked in pure shock for a second. Then she suddenly burst out laughing. "I can't believe you'd say that to a girl who just got her heart broken." Without another word, I took off my jacket and gently draped it right over her shoulders. "Hey, can we go sing karaoke?" I just gave her a confused look. Because I need to scream all this awful luck out of my system. Hearing that, I was a bit taken aback. Then I just turned on my heel and started walking, completely ignoring her yelling after me. But a second later, I reached back, grabbed her hand, and dragged her into a sprint. We didn't stop until we hit the karaoke joint. The dark clouds hanging over Karen's heart had finally cleared. And I truly felt that they were living, breathing people. Not just some two-dimensional manga characters. Meanwhile, Naoto Tojo's bodyguard was absolutely bawling, snot running down his face. I'm so incredibly glad the young miss has a friend like him. Kids like that are so darn rare in this cruel world. A warm, proud smile crept onto Naoto Tojo's face. Yeah, very rare indeed. After that, it was just me. Sitting in the karaoke room, suffering through Karen's agonizingly off-key singing. But hey, as long as it helps her move on. Suffering a little ear damage is totally fine. But then, the girl casually mentioned that she wanted to see my room. And I absolutely froze in sheer panic. Why? Because my entire room is literally just crammed full of gym equipment. And a room completely stuffed with manga. But to my surprise, instead of making fun of me, she told me she actually grew up in a family of manga artists. And get this, her dad is literally my idol. Right now, I was showing Rika into my room. Her face lit up with pure amazement. Wow, so this is what a boy's room looks like. Do all guys just have this much workout gear lying around? Just then, she spotted one of my dumbbells. But, knowing her strength, there was absolutely no way she could lift it. I let out a long sigh. There was a very good reason Rika couldn't budge it. That little dumbbell probably weighed twice as much as she did. Rika was totally blown away. It all started out like any other day. I was heading toward the subway station right after school. When Rika, walking right beside me, suddenly got hungry. So, I figured, why not suggest stopping by my family's restaurant for a quick bite? Hearing that, it suddenly clicked for her. That my family actually ran a restaurant. I thought to myself, it should be fine. It's just one meal, right? But the second we stepped inside the restaurant, I was absolutely, utterly speechless. I had no idea this girl ate like she hadn't seen food in a past life. She polished off 2 whole tables worth of food, and slammed down 3 cans of cola before she was finally full. On top of that, she instantly hit it off with my mom. "Auntie, your cooking is absolutely amazing." My mom just laughed and told her to slow down. And that she'd make more if she was still hungry. Honestly, Rika really knew how to appreciate our traditional fermented soybean stew. It looked like my mom was already totally charmed by her. Anyway, I figured once she finished eating, she'd just head home. But nope. Instead, she asked if she could see my room. She even hit me with the, "Well, I'm already here. It'd be such a shame if I didn't get to see it." And stupid me, I actually thought nothing weird was going to happen. But somehow, she ended up right there in my bedroom. I handed her a glass of juice. And she just stared at me with this massive, teasing smirk. "Ooh, so you're into romantic comedy manga, huh?" Peeved. Little did she know. I only bought those so I could analyze and predict the plot twists. I mean, let's be real. The storylines in these mangas are practically all the same anyway. Rika kept looking around, and realized just how massive my collection really was. I had manga from Golden Sakurai, and even those classic childhood romance series. As it turned out, Rika was absolutely obsessed with those too. I even pulled out my rare first edition copies to show her. Man, whenever I think about that series, I just have to go back and read it all over again from chapter 1. That manga is an absolute masterpiece. The artwork is so gorgeous it literally takes your breath away. And the ending, sure, it might seem a bit subtle, but the emotional payoff just lingers with you forever. I just love that feeling so much. Listening to me absolutely geek out over the plot, a warm smile spread across Rika's face. I was on a total roll now. And the way they portray the characters' psychology? Pure genius. Combine that with the cinematic pacing and all that brilliant foreshadowing, this manga is just next level. Rika looked genuinely thrilled. She told me she had never met anyone who was quite as fiercely passionate about manga as I was. My dad is going to be so happy to hear this. she said. I blinked, totally confused. Wait, what does your dad have to do with this? Well, it turns out Rika's dad is a professional manga artist. And not just any artist, he's the creator of Golden Samurai. That bombshell hit me like a bolt of lightning. Holy crap, Rika was the daughter of an absolute legend. But, I mean, it totally made sense when you thought about it. Rika had beautiful blonde hair. And I had read somewhere before that Kishimoto Musashi's wife was actually British. So that definitely explained the blonde hair. But then, as the gears in my head started turning, I realized I'd be a complete idiot not to take advantage of the VIP connection sitting right in front of me. So, I begged Rika for a massive favor. I asked if there was any way her dad could give me an autograph. Rika just smiled and said, yeah, no problem at all. She even offered to introduce me to him personally. Though besides all that, there was still one more thing I was really curious about. Your dad has so many other hit series. Why is Golden Sakurai your absolute favorite? Turns out she loves her dad's other work too, but for some reason, she's just completely obsessed with Golden Sakurai. Rika even mentioned that, in Volume 5 of Golden Samurai, whenever she sees the main character, and how he always puts his friends first throughout the story, she can't help but feel that he's both incredibly strong and gentle. Fast forward to the next day at school. Inside the student council office, President Mahi looked dead serious. You still remember our plans for Golden Week, right? You promised you'd help me out. Our school has this ongoing exchange program with a Russian sister school, right after Golden Week. We're scheduled to host one of their exchange students. President Mahi wanted their very first meeting to be special, so she wanted my help in picking out an unforgettable welcome gift. Of course I'd help her out. How about the first day of the break? How about the 29th? President Mahi's face completely lit up. But if you break this promise, I'll never forgive you. Then she sent me back to class. Looks like I'll have to ask Rika later to see if we can push our hangout to the 30th. But the second I walked into the classroom, Sato came running up, saying he had some huge news. Those guys who caused trouble in the kendo club and got kicked out. Well, they suddenly made a huge scene today, and then both of them abruptly put in for a transfer. Both of them transferring at the exact same time? That's sketchy enough as it is. Do you think something else went down? Honestly, I figured they probably just had their own underlying reasons they couldn't talk about. Serves them right. At least they won't be harassing Tojo and Sakamoto anymore. Anyway, it was time for class. Teaching us today was our brand new English teacher. It was her very first time teaching, and the poor woman was already shaking in her boots because of the school's top honor student. All because she'd heard some wild rumors that this student was the heir to a major yakuza syndicate. Meanwhile, the boring English lesson had already put Rika fast asleep. The new teacher's name was Nanami Mizuki, 24 years old. Since today happened to be the 24th, she was going to call on student number 24 to read the day's passage. But then she instantly caught herself and changed her mind. Could the student sitting behind number 24 please start reading from the textbook? I slowly stood up and began reading the passage out loud. The whole class was completely blown away by my fluent pronunciation. Then Ms. Mizuki asked another question. How should we respond to a situation like this? I kind of completely misunderstood her, thinking she was actually asking for my personal take. I'd personally recommend they travel to Osaka, since there's a lot more to do there. And it's super tourist-friendly. The teacher looked unbelievably awkward. I was honestly a bit confused. What kind of reaction was that? But she was too scared to correct me, so she just stammered out that my answer was absolutely perfect. After sitting down, I kept replaying her reaction in my head. I mean, she looked downright terrified just a second ago. She tried to move on with the lesson, but accidentally ended up making direct eye contact with me. Ms. Mizuki frantically spun around. This student was just too terrifying. Truly a yakuza heir. When I saw her reacting like that, it instantly clicked for me. Ms. Mizuki must have heard those nasty rumors. She totally thought I was some sort of delinquent. After all, there are some insanely wild rumors flying around about me. Stuff like how I single-handedly took down an entire biker gang, or that I'm the heir to some massive underground crime syndicate. But man, this was the very first time I'd seen a full-grown adult look so terrified of me. I really need to try and act normal. That way, there won't be any more misunderstandings. I really need to go see the teacher and clear things up. Meanwhile, the teacher was typing furiously on her keyboard. But when she saw the information on her screen, she totally froze. Name: Kim Yoo-sung. Full scholarship recipient. Last year's freshman class representative. Hasn't dropped from first place in the class since enrollment. Student council secretary. Extremely diligent, to be completely honest. School barely has anything left to teach him. The teacher felt like none of this made any sense. How could a mob boss's heir have such a flawless record? It was making her feel like something was seriously off. Could it be that he's just been playing the good student to fool everyone? But right at that moment, a cold sweat suddenly broke out down the teacher's spine. I stood there, looking at her with a big smile. Hello, I'm Kim Yoo-sung. The teacher nearly jumped out of her skin. Oh, it was just Yoo-sung coming over. Hurry and take a seat. I definitely wasn't just looking up your files. or investigating your background, but right after blurting that out, she instantly started kicking herself. She had acted way too panicked just now. He definitely saw her looking up his info. She felt like she was about to be kidnapped by the mob. Actually, I came to see you today because I wanted to get some career counseling. The teacher forced a calm smile. Just take a seat first. She asked me what plans I had for the future. Honestly, I hadn't really figured that out yet. If I can't make up my mind, I'm thinking of just taking over the family business. The teacher instantly started panicking. The family business, don't tell me he means taking over the mob? Yoo-sung, if you don't mind me asking, could you tell me what your parents do for a living? I told her that my parents run a little restaurant out in the countryside. It was only then that the teacher realized I wasn't some mafia heir after all. She even said she'd love to come visit my family's place sometime. Which also made me realize the misunderstanding was probably finally cleared up. Then, the teacher wanted to know what my strongest subjects were. I told her math and science. Well, if you're good at those. The teacher suggested I pursue something in the STEM field, but I really didn't want to. I felt like choosing a career just because I happened to be good at a certain subject was just way too naive. I want to do something I genuinely love doing. The teacher totally agreed with me. Being good at something and actually liking it are two completely different things, right? Speaking of which, Ms. Mizuki didn't actually want to be a teacher in the first place. Even though she was a little embarrassed about it, she decided to tell me her story anyway. She originally wanted to be a voice actress. Back in middle school, Ms. Mizuki was absolutely obsessed with a character from a mecha manga. So, during her own career counseling, she said she wanted to become a voice actress. But her teacher just brushed it off, saying it was only a hobby. They told her she could focus on hobbies later, and pushed her to find a more stable career instead. At the time, Ms. Mizuki thought her teacher was completely right. But the second she got to college, she instantly regretted it. She knew her life belonged to her, and yet, she had so easily let someone else's advice dictate her entire future. Because of that, she really wanted me to think things through carefully before making my own decision. She wasn't telling me this as a teacher, but rather, giving me advice as someone who had already lived through it. I promised to seriously consider Ms. Mizuki's advice, because I definitely didn't want to end up like her. Missing out on a career I genuinely loved. I was so incredibly grateful for the teacher's honest advice. Right after I left the office, a male teacher spoke up. Wasn't that the rumored Kim Yoo-sung? I heard he's a total delinquent. His family is in the mob. He even wiped out an entire biker gang, completely single-handedly. But Ms. Mizuki doesn't buy into those rumors anymore. Jin Yoo-chung is actually a straight-A student. And incredibly thoughtful, too. So, she hopes the teachers won't just judge a book by its cover from now on. And that goes for Ms. Mizuki herself. If you really want to understand what a student is like inside, the only way is to sit down and have a real, heart-to-heart conversation with them.